Guys, welcome to a new review video focused once again on the Automobilista sim, which will receive today a very important update, but that is for other posts, not for this video. This video is all about a new track released recently by Patrick Gironton, who else, for the Automobilista sim, for the Razer Studios sim. So this track is Road America, no doubt great addition to the sim. One of those tracks where everyone wants to race, no matter which sim they are using, and therefore it's really important that it's now included in the library of the Automobilista sim, courtesy of Patrick Gironton and his mates. So the track. This version is version 1.02, and it arrives to the sim after Patrick Gironton, as stated by the track modder himself, after he saw that the GSC version, which was also released by him to the sim, was lacking some details in terms of accuracy, and therefore for this specific version for Automobilista, Gironton reworked everything. So he reworked the curbs, he replanted, manner of speaking, of course, about 5,000 trees into the track, and as you will be able to see from several camera angles during the footage we created for this video, there are a lot of trees in this track, and that also always looks good, and also brings out the nature surroundings in this track, as it works also in terms of real life, and you will be able to see that from the several images we included in this video, also to show you the specific seasons that Gironton also introduced in this track, as he has been doing in his recent releases for Automobilista. So we are watching now onboard action in the Boxer Cup car. We chose for this video, we chose three different cars. We chose the Boxer Cup car, we chose the Kart Extreme mod, which is also a release from Gironton that we already mentioned in a couple of videos, in a couple of review videos. This track is not specifically focused on adding content to the Kart Extreme mod, because Gironton released some tracks to go along with this with the Kart Extreme mod, but it also works for the Kart Extreme cars. So we chose to use the Boxer Cup, which is the one you are watching. Great car to drive, and works really well with this track. We also chose the Kart Extreme mod, and also the Super V8 mod from Razer, which is a simulation of the V8 supercars, as you may already have noticed, and you will also see that here. So in terms of the track there were some important changes, as mentioned before, introduced by Gironton. So he modified a little bit the terrain in some places to change the height. So there's some interesting changes also in terms of the track height. You will notice that in some parts of the track, the pit markings also were created to match the real ones, and also the pit boxes, which are now present in this version. Also there were some AO on the main building, and there were several other things which were introduced in the track, and you will be able to notice that when you drive it, and also by watching this footage. As usual, for this release, Gironton did not work alone, so he counted also on the help from Dennis, which was in charge of the loading screens, Gringo, that as usual cooperated in terms of the AI W and some extra stuff, and also Luigi, which has always been really important in terms of providing great cams, which are always helping us get great videos about the tracks from Gironton. So as usual, there are several seasons included in this release, seasons of the year. We are now watching the spring season of the track. So the track, we could say that there are 3 different versions of the track. The track layout is always the same, but you can find in this release the spring version, which is the one we are watching now. Also the autumn version or the fall version, and also the summer version, and you will be also watching some footage of those 2 other seasons in this video. Going to let you know immediately, because you are going to see the first of those moments in a few seconds. I was fortunate enough to create practice sessions with AI present, and in all the options that I chose, the 3 cars for this video, I was fortunate enough to get some hot moments with other cars, and you will notice that I was not really efficient in terms of staying on track after completing some overtaking maneuvers. I already had my first hot moment when I tried to overtake for the first time this black Boxer Cup car that is now behind me. And then after completing that overtaking, I did make this small mistake here. But small mistakes are easy to make when you are driving the Boxer Cup car. The car is really technical to drive, and you have to always be really cautious in terms of the rear of the car, because it's where the traction is, and it's also where the engine is, and that causes some difficulties in terms of controlling this car, and sometimes you lose control of it. So here we are now watching already the summer version, just a small TV cam lap, because this car laps really fast here, the Kart Extreme car, and then you will see this lap also from the onboard, so that you can have some excitement watching this car, because this is definitely the fastest car from the 3 we chose for this video. So here, as you can see, the grass and mainly the grass is similar to what you see in the summer, so there's not that green overall environment that we saw earlier in the spring season. And here you can see that the leaves and the grass is sort of burned by the heat. No, not that bigger differences in terms of the trees, although we can see that the trees are not as green as before, but not that much difference. But in the specific surroundings around the track, the grass, the leaves on track, you will notice, you definitely notice a difference. In terms of the physics of the track works really well. It's a great track to drive, and Gironton was really efficient in terms of providing us a good simulation of this track. And once again, if you pay attention to the quality of the track and you compare it with some of the Racer official track, with the other Racer Studios official tracks on the sim, you'll notice that the quality is pretty much balanced. So this is great content, otherwise we wouldn't be publishing it here. And yeah, another great release from Gironton, and this is out of the box, one of the best tracks we have currently in the sim. But in this last opinion, or in this last comment, I'm more or less focused on what I like in terms of the tracks, and this has always been one of my favorite tracks to drive, definitely an all American traditional, and I do enjoy a lot the American tracks, and this is definitely one of the best of them and one of the most interesting to drive, at least in my opinion. So as you can see, quite a big difference when you see the onboard cam from the Boxer Cup and this car. Everything happens so much faster in this car, and it is easier to drive. This is one of the most interesting IndyCar models ever. do follow the IndyCar season or the kart. Earlier this was the kart season, and this is definitely one of the most funniest and one of the most interesting single-seaters from IndyCar or kart ever released, and definitely one of the most fun to drive in terms of sim racing or in terms of simulation. So we are now going to be watching the fall version or the autumn version of this Patrick Giranton release, and as we have been doing recently, we are now focusing on our reviews in showing all the versions available of when a track is released, all the versions and all the track layouts when there is more than one track layout. We are now watching the Super V8 car, and if you pay attention to basically to the trees, you will notice that the trees are different because this is a different season of the year. And if you pay attention to the falling leaves on that are already on the grass, on track, close to the track, you'll notice that they are more or less yellow, which is normal at this time of the year, at least in Patrick Giranton's approach. So you see that the trees are definitely different in terms of the colors compared to the other two versions of the track, and this provides an interesting environment to us driving the cars, because you really notice differences and you can simulate races in different parts in different seasons of the year, and what we see is consistent with that thought. So it's an interesting approach by Patrick Giranton, one that is basically, in our opinion, an exclusive from him, and yeah, something that highlights even more how different is his work and how good at the same time. So three different cars for the same layout of a track, three different cars at the same level of excitement. This car is highly performant. If you see this, the volume of this car, we could never imagine that he can be able to, yeah, another missed overtaking. But when you try to overtake and you go off the perfect line or the apex, you'll have to adjust in terms of the braking, and I did make a small mistake there. But this car is really performant. It does perform at least at the same level as the Boxer Cup car, and which is interesting if you take into the equation that its volume is huge. So this was another video about another review for Automobilista. Thank you for watching us, and bye bye. I'll see you soon.